The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm your host, Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today from the great state of Tennessee, Charles Chandler. Charles is the co-founder of My Tennessee Home Solutions, which is actually a team of Army veterans who are dedicated to giving practical home solutions and outstanding service to buyers and sellers alike in and I guess out of mainly the Nashville area. Is that correct, Charles, or is the whole state?
Pretty much Middle Tennessee. That's what we focus on. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you here. How are you?
No, Tim, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. Love doing this. Love trying to just get some good advice out there to everybody. So yeah, no, thank you.
Fantastic. So first and foremost, how'd you get started?
Yeah, so I actually enlisted in the military in 2010, and from then I just had the mindset I was going to do the military for a career. Had some family that was in the military as well, and then I found myself going to United States Military Academy up in New York at West Point. Mm-hmm. And from there is when I met some of my now business partner in this company. And so didn't know it at the time, obviously, but again, my mindset was very strong towards wanting to serve, be an infantry officer, do the Ranger Special Forces stuff. Was very, very headstrong in towards that direction. And then at a Army school, nonetheless, I reconnected with Jordan. Again, we first knew each other and acquainted up at West Point, and then reconnected down at Fort Benning, Georgia, at a course. And he was a solopreneur, if you will. He was kind of doing the DIY house flipping, wholesaling, and whatnot. And we just kind of got going on a conversation, and he showed me what he was doing, and essentially just how much money he was able to make with the little bit of effort. Whereas in the military, it seems like we got a lot of effort and not really paid much at all. And so some life changes for me were happening. I had recently gotten married, had also recently returned from a deployment. And so things were getting reprioritized in my life. And I think running in and reconnecting with Jordan was a huge blessing at that time. And so he invited me out to a real estate investing conference that was actually hosted by the West Point Network. And so from there, really started to take the huge leap into just really taking action. That was his motto. That's what he was kind of instilling into me, was just, hey man, a lot of people talk about it, but you got to take action. And we at the time, we had the military as essentially kind of a safety net to take some risk, and whatnot. And so, of course, first and foremost comes our military obligations. He and I both put that as our top priority, and we make sure to excel in the positions that we're given and that we hold. And but then while simultaneously being able to build up what is now going to be essentially just replacing the W-2 income from the military now into real estate. So from there, just being able to build a strong team, take a lot of the leadership and qualities that we gained from school and the military and whatnot, and now being able to translate that all into a fully functioning company in about 2 short years.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about, what your target market is, what's the big plan with the company? We assist, sellers in acquiring their homes and things like that, but who's the target market in that, and why do you buy those certain homes?
Yeah, I think it's very important when you're starting out. You need to know what your avatar is. You need to establish your buy box, know who it is that you're speaking to and what your brand is saying to people. And so we created what we call our brand playbook. And within that, we were able to customize it to where we know exactly who we're going after. And so within the Middle Tennessee region, what we do is we go after two different audiences, really, either distressed sellers that own a property or distressed properties that a seller owns. And then sometimes there's the combination of the two, right? And so those are the two big buckets. But usually we prioritize those that are looking to downsize and just really want the ease and simplicity of a cash sale off market transaction. Convenience is largely a huge aspect to that, and that's a huge thing that we offer for individuals. And then the other thing too is really properties that other individuals, sometimes up to 5 to 6 people, inherit. And how do you even go through that process? What paperwork's needed? Who's taking charge? Who's leading it? And, that can cause a lot of frustrations and inner rivalry arguments and whatnot. We see some of that, and so we're able to step in really with any obstacle to closing and to be able to make it a more smooth process. And so that's, again, like those that are distressed or the properties that are distressed. And then we just come in with a very simple and easy home selling process, and we try to empower the individuals that we work with. And we also encourage people to reach out to other companies that offer similar, similar kind of products that we do, but just to compare. And then more often than not, they come back to us just being like, yeah, we just want to work with you guys. And I think that's because we prioritize our messaging, our brand, and then the customer experience that we provide to other people. And that starts from individuals just seeing our logo and our name and ads, really, and then taking that all the way through to the closing table.
Fantastic. So tell me, you have quite an experienced team, all from the military. I'm making the assumption. I have read the backgrounds, and so far everybody's from the military. So do each of you have your own directive internally in the company? You each handle different avenues or verticals inside that plan?
Yeah, it's we definitely all wear multiple hats. And so when you look at our accountability chart, you see a lot of the same names, but we're holding different positions. And so that's a bit of a challenge in terms of how we communicate at times where, hey, like right now, I'm wearing an acquisition hat. And I need to communicate that way with Spencer, who's our sales director. And then sometimes I'm wearing the COO hat, whereas I need Spencer and I to communicate about a certain process or system that we have in place. But each of us do work in an autonomous lane to where we know what we need to do. We know the roles and functions, which, being somewhat remote and working virtually at times, can potentially cause issues just because there's the potential of being unaware of if a certain task or something's getting done, or are we going to be able to hit a certain deadline and whatnot. And so those are just all obstacles internally that we overcome. But the way you do that is just routine communication, getting on the phone with each other, monthly alignment huddles, kind of what we call them. And so that helps us out a lot. And again, a lot of those processes and ways that we communicate stem from the shared experience and understanding that we have being in the military. And so
Gotcha.
while we do know our own individual lanes, we do know when to communicate and come together and kind of remember the hat that we're wearing for a certain conversation or sync.
Gotcha. So tell me about your process from beginning to end. I know you have like a 7-point process you mentioned on your site. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I vaguely kind of hit on it a little bit, but the customer experience is huge. The customer experience roadmap is kind of what we want our acquisition and disposition individuals and teams to really like hone in and buy in on. And so it really starts before an individual reaches out to us, because we need to be postured in a way that a seller, once they go to our site, once they see an ad, once they hear about us, there's a level of comfort and security that, okay, these individuals, this company, this team can get it done for me. And so we know that. And then as soon as the web form's filled out or the phone call comes in, because we are 100% inbound with all of our lead generation and whatnot. And so if we do get a lead or a seller reach out, that we know that there's at least some level of motivation there. There's some burden or some level of anxiety or stress that's going on. And so that's the initial trigger for our sales team. And so from there, we just try to immediately get on the phone with them, build rapport as much as possible, kind of hit some of the big 5 pillars, which motivation, you got to understand the motivation points, understand the condition of the property, their timeline, generally where their equity's at with the property, and then roughly where they're looking at price wise. Always try to extract their price first. And then from there, we think that we have a very good understanding of what our next steps will be, which should either be 1, we'll try to do a 1-call close, or 2, we try to set up a same-day appointment with our acquisition manager. And because being in Middle Tennessee, understanding our audience, a lot of individuals really like face-to-face, belly-to-belly sales, just shake someone's hand, understand face to name, face to company, name to company, and whatnot. And then from there, if we will either close on it ourselves and rehab the property and use our subcontractors, or we'll assign it to some of our partner investors in the area. And then from there, we just do a very quick walkthrough or inspection with our home inspector. And then really from there, we handle everything on the closing side. We got a great title company that we work with, great relationship there, which makes closing any deal a huge, sigh of relief, because a lot of title companies can be the stopping point and kind of crush many deals potentially. So,
Sure.
And then from there, once we get to the closing table, we try to get their post move address to them, and then we send them a nice closing gift as well about a month or so later, just to kind of go full cycle with everything with the individual.
Gotcha. Now, are you using outside investors? Are you hard moneying deals? How are you how are you acquiring the properties? I guess that's the big question.
Yeah, so I think it's important to also, like, first starting out with making good decisions to eliminate as much potential stress as possible. And so we haven't debt financed anything.
Fantastic.
We did initial partner investments when we first started doing some marketing and lead generation. Once we were able to be net positive and reimburse ourselves, essentially, we've been working off of profits ever since. And so that has allowed us to just be able to make better decisions, take a little bit more risk here and there, but then we do use hard money lenders on the financing side with that. And I think that's a great route. We've entertained the idea of bringing on private money lenders, but we actually do syndications on the commercial multifamily side. So the My Tennessee Home Solution brand and name is for direct to seller on the single family residential side. And then we have another entities called FBG Equity, which is where we do our holds for apartments and whatnot and do syndications. And so that's where, in terms of raising capital, we try to focus efforts for commercial multifamily. So we think raising capital is an ongoing thing for sure. And so we try to let our ability and what we've been able to do with the single family side kind of serve as a behind the scenes look at what we're able to accomplish.
Okay, fantastic. So if I had a magic wand, so this is kind of one of my fun questions, Charles. If I had a magic wand and I could solve any issues that your team faces on a day-to-day basis, what could I solve for you? What could I fix with just my one flick of the wrist?
Oh, that's easy. We just all are geographically located together. Yeah, we, myself and Jordan and Spencer, we're all 3 in the process of transitioning out of the military right now. We're in our final roles, if you will, final positions. And so, again, we're doing this while still maintaining other W-2 jobs, which is kind of wild to really think about. We do have an office in East Nashville. And so, when we are able to take long weekend holidays or request some leave and whatnot and come together, Jordan is in the Nashville area, Spencer's in Georgia at a different installation, and I'm also in Georgia right now. And so it can be tough doing things in different time zones, different states with other job priorities. And so it's the cadence of accountability from we've adopted from a great book called 4 Disciplines of Execution. And so how we hold each other accountable, conduct our syncs in a timely manner, and then again having the ability to just go off autonomously, execute our tasks, come back once a week or twice a week really for our more deliberate syncs to make sure we're on the same page. And so if we were just geographically located, I'd make everything great.
is that, so we'll talk about the future a little bit. We've talked
Yeah.
about the past, we've talked about, kind of how you acquire and things you're doing today.
Mhm.
So let's put on our prognostication hats real quick. And so that's probably the first thing you all will try to fix, or is that part of the plan? I mean, ultimately all of you being at the same location once everyone's actually run their course with the military, and is that the goal?
Yeah, 100%. What we don't want to do is pull too many levers of change and adjustments at once. So we're trying to phase it by quarter, essentially, where one individual transitions out, well established. I think Jordan, who's already physically there, will be the easiest, and then it'll be Spencer, and then myself. And my wife's also on our team. She serves as our listing agent, and also manages a lot of our flips. And so just getting all that back up into the Middle Tennessee area, being together over the course of this upcoming year, 2023 into 2024, we'll have a full team there. But part of that too is we want to be able to own our own office. So we are currently in a leasing some office space, but we kind of want to be on the other flip of that, to where we have our own office space and a triple net
Yeah,
lease set up for somebody
sure.
else. So that's kind of all tied together with kind of the longevity with the My Tennessee Home Solution brand, just getting a good property office space that is not really a liability so much for us, but we're able to establish some strong roots in the area.
Gotcha. Is there ever any plan maybe to have my Kentucky or my Georgia, or or is Tennessee definitely going to be the one and only?
Yeah, the franchising piece is very interesting, and that's actually was a conversation we had at our quarter 3 offsite working session as we were getting ready for quarter 4, and really it just comes down to bandwidth of time, and then where are we going to get the best ROI at? Are we going to go down a route that's going to require a ton of time and potential high level stress, and just maybe get us out of our sphere that we operate and do so well in? So
Right.
there's risk there, but there is high reward. However, what I think that what we're thinking about really is more so just kind of a certain tiered program that we can offer to individuals, where, hey, like, we can give you stuff to help you initiate and start, and then another one where, like, hey, like, we can be fairly hands-on to help you start if you want to initiate your own kind of team somewhere else, and then like at a top tier where we're heavily involved and kind of setting everything up, and obviously just different price points associated with that. So there's some level of potential there of expansion. I think what we'll do first is really move into Memphis and Chattanooga and actually really expand
In those cities, yeah.
statewide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Though it does seem, I mean, in just, because I do talk to a lot of folks in different states that do this when they decide to franchise that out, or expansion. It's not always considered franchise, but in that expansion, it's really just about having someone you can trust on the ground to do
Yeah.
the work, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, as funny as this sounds, many listeners may chuckle, but finding the money for the deals is the easy part, right? It's finding
Yeah.
it's you make your money at the beginning, at the
Yes.
purchase of the deal, not necessarily at the sell of the deal. So
Yep.
having somebody on the ground you can trust and understands your process, that's the tough part when you go out of your area. So, but it sounds like you've got contacts in all those states, and maybe that's something for you down the line, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, they had a home for sale, or maybe they want to invest with you or anything, maybe they just want to chew your ear off about how you got started and the same things we talked about today, or need your advice, Charles, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so for anyone that's looking to sell their house off market, definitely go to our website, mytennesseehomesolution.com. But if you want to get in touch individually, one-on-one, probably LinkedIn, just
Okay.
Charles Chandler would be one of the best ones. And I'm pretty active on social media, particularly Instagram and Facebook. You can find me on there, just Charles Chandler on Instagram and
Okay.
Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, Charles, this is the part of the show where I kind of give the last word to you, and any words of wisdom or sage advice. And it doesn't have to be about home purchasing, selling. It could be about your favorite dog kennel, whatever it might. I've heard it all, but whatever it might be, close us out with some inspiration.
Yeah, I highly encourage individuals that are hacking at this stuff alone to partner with someone. You can go, I've heard this many times, you can go fast alone or you can go far together. And so
great.
I think it's very important to really establish long-lasting strategic partnerships with individuals, albeit that needs to be seen as a marriage. It really does. And so I think some of the most important qualities of that come from a very strong, established, linked vision with the other individual, strong core values together that you have with each other, and then and a very strong exit plan potentially in place as well. And so again, I think individuals that are going at it alone, that are trying to do it all, wear every hat in the organization, you're going to lose the steam and potentially lose the fun and kind of the why behind what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas if you have a good, strong strategic partnership, whereas I do here with Jordan and Briar, the three of us are kind of a little three musketeer team, founded and running this thing. But it takes time and it takes a lot of growth. And again, just seeing it as a marriage, really. And so, that's kind of my push really for partners.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess
I think that's great advice,
thing.
Charles. I think about that all the time. That I meet so many solopreneurs and that are out there.
Yep.
They have a couple of contractors they use to do the work, and they got somebody running signs or whatever it might be. They may have a digital marketing company they work with, but for the most part, they're a solo entity. And I'm like, wow, that's got to be difficult because there's so many aspects of it. And, you can either be the jack of all trades or the master, or, jack of all trades, master of none, right? So, great advice, Charles. I think that's really great advice. Charles, thanks so much for being on the show. I look forward to catching up with you maybe 3, 6, 9 months down the road, see how you guys are
absolutely
doing. And, we'll talk to you then.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.